And welcome back to the show, everybody. Brought to you by Casa de Campo, our friends in the Dominican Republic. And let me tell you, I will be down on Sunday teeing it up at Teeth of the Dog. That's the newly renovated Pete Dye special. All the holes, you look out at the Caribbean, 86 degrees and sunny. I'm urging you to plan a family vacay, casadecampo.com. All right, our next guest, Mike Hall, Big Ten Network fame. Mike, first of all, it's great to see you. It's been a long time. You're up there in Chicago, man. I need to get you down to Casa de Campo. How does that sound?
I'm not gonna fight you on that one, Doug. That sounds perfectly. I saw something the other day. We've had like 17 inches of snow so far, and it was 4 at this point last year. So yeah, I'm fine heading down.
You know, you're a Chicago guy. For our audience, Mike and I worked at ESPN together many, many years ago in Charlotte, North Carolina, actually. I was doing the Big 12 studio show. It's too complicated to explain why. Mike was doing the Big 10 show. Mike, do you remember, and I remember this vividly, you brought your parents into the studio because I'm doing the studio show with Stacey King, who was a great Oklahoma All-American, who played for the Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And of course, you and your folks were big Bulls fans. And that was so much fun because Stacey's a big teddy bear, and he brought your folks in and you in. And I don't know, I remember that. That was kind of a fun little session.
Stacey he had some stories, Doug.
Yes, he did.
I still retell. Did he ever tell you his draft day story about when he was working out for the Bulls? Real quick, so this is like 89. It's his story. He tells it way better than I do. But basically, he knows he's going to like 7 with the Bulls or 11 with the Cavs, something like that. He knows it's one of 2 teams. And he's at this workout that Jerry Krause and Doug Collins is the head coach at the time, and everything's going fine. And at one point they say, well, we're gonna bring out someone, and we're just gonna see how tough you are. And he's like, hey, MF, I'm as tough as could be, whatever. And so they bring this guy out, and he's got like goggles on and a headband, and, like elbow pads. He just looks kind of nerdy, and he's like banging on Stacey, just bang, popping him, elbows in the gut, elbows in the, and Stacey's like, what? After like 3 or 4 possessions, he was like, hey man, I get you're trying to prove I'm tough, but like, you need to, my career's on the line. And the guy takes the ball and shoves it in his chest and says, shut up and play. He was like, all right. So he backs the guy down, he backs him, he fakes left, he turns right and pops him with his elbow right in the face. The guy goes flying backwards, hits the ground. He jumps up, he dunks the ball, and he gets right, and he goes, that's how tough I am. You want to see how tough? The guy's nose is bleeding. They have to drag him off the court. Apparently, Jerry Krause and Doug Collins are like jumping up and down on the stands. They're like, that's our guy. That's what we want. Anyways, they come over and they say, listen, we told that guy to do that. Like, he was doing what he was supposed to. Don't be mad at him. We're going to bring him back out here. The guy fixed up his bloody nose a few minutes later. He comes back out and they go, hey, you guys need to shake hands. We never properly introduced. By the way, Stacey, this is our assistant coach, Phil Jackson.
Oh my goodness. Really? I've never heard that story.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that is unbelievable.
It's my favorite story. It's not even my story. That's my favorite story to tell.
Wow, Mike, I didn't know. I mean, I thought we were just talking some Big Ten football and stuff, but what a good story. You brought the heavyweight story. I appreciate that. And again, Mike Hall, our guest, Big Ten Network, and for those of us who love football and sports, I flip around and I watch Mike all the time. And Mike's funny, as you can tell, and has great rapport with the guests. And all these guys are former coaches and players in the Big Ten Network. Hey, let me ask you this, because major ratings last week, obviously, Indiana, Ohio State. I was watching till the bitter end. I mean, what a game, right? And then Fernando Mendoza, this intriguing figure who's the quarterback of Indiana, gives this impassioned post-game interview with Jenny Della Fox. I mean, it was like he jumped off the TV screen, Mike. And, of course, I get all these callers and people asking, was that guy real? Is that really? And I'm like, yeah. If you go Google Fernando Mendoza at Cal, he's the same guy after some big wins at Cal, Mike. He is a very unique young guy, isn't he?
He's fascinating.
Yes.
He's wholesome. He's delightful. So all year long, if you look, whenever he would do a post-game interview, the person is right there talking to you, and they always want you to look at them. And he just finds the camera and goes directly to the camera every time. It's wild. I've never seen anybody like it.
No.
It reminds me of, remember J.J. McCarthy, who's now with the Vikings, but he was at Michigan. When we first interviewed him at the Big Ten Network, it was on signing day. He's a high school senior, and we did a Zoom interview with him because he was a top 50 overall prospect. And the whole time he's like, Mr. Hall, sir, it's such a great time to talk to you, and what a delight to be with you. And it was so like over the top polite, and you were kind of like, is this cat for real? And the more you talk to him, no, that's him. He had great parents, he had a great upbringing, that's who he is. Fernando's that same dude. It's wild because I'm pretty sure the Heisman Trophy winner is going to come from Indiana, and that's a crazy sentence to say.
Yeah, mind blowing. It really is. Great player. And after that second play where he took the shot underneath the chin, I wasn't sure he was going to come back, and he did, obviously. And that just added even more lore to the Fernando Mendoza story. Mike, Kurt Cignetti was on Coach Saban's original staff at Alabama, for those of us down in the South. And he was the recruiting coordinator and signed all those guys, Mark Ingram, Julio Jones. They won the national championship in 2009. I mean, Coach Saban has a great deal of respect. And of course, Kurt wanted to be a head coach and has bounced around. Mike, is this hyperbole, or is this the greatest story in college football in recent memory, what he has done in 2 short years at Indiana?
Doug, I really try to avoid hyperbole because, especially in sports and in sports media, we're surrounded by people. This is the best ever. This is the worst.
Right, exactly.
I've been spending a year and a half trying to think of a comparable story. Indiana was the losingest program in the history of college football, and they've now made the playoff in back-to-back years. They're number 1 in the country for the first time ever. They're going to have the Heisman Trophy winner. They've won 24 games in back-to-back years, and their season isn't done yet.
Yeah.
The most they'd ever won in back-to-back years was 17. Like this, there was no on-ramp for Kurt Cignetti. You think of like Hayden Fry at Iowa or Gary Barnett at Northwestern, or like there are stories of programs that weren't that good and then became very good. But it took 3-4 years. This happened in an instant.
No.
I'm telling you, Doug, I've been thinking so hard to find a comp, and I can't think of anything comparable in the 154-year history of the sport. It's outrageous that he did it this quick, this well, at this school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, and I can't think of any story that even remotely comes close. And I laugh at Coach Corso, his old banquet line, when he was the head coach at Indiana, after they scored that opening touchdown against Woody Hayes in Ohio State. He got the team together with a scoreboard and took the picture because he said, we'll never, ever lead Ohio State again. And, that was kind of a funny joke. But I'm telling you, they beat Ohio State last week for the Big Ten championship. That was one of the most compelling Big Ten games. And listen, I've seen a lot over the years, Mike, you have too. That kept me glued to the TV till the bitter end.
It's something else, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, last year it was kind of like, I don't want to be dismissive, but it kind of was like a cute story, right?
Yes, I agree.
And this year they're beating people up. They beat Ohio State. They won at Oregon. They specifically, I was talking with Jerry DiNardo, who was a Notre Dame national champion offensive lineman and a national title as an assistant coach at Colorado in 1990. And he was like, the thing is, Cignetti knew their offensive line wasn't good enough. And he worked hard to make sure their offensive line was meatier and stronger and better. And sure enough, they just announced the Joe Moore Award. There are 3 offensive lines up for the best offensive line in the country. And Indiana is one of the final 3. Like he knew what a weakness was. What was the difference between us and Ohio State last year? That. And now they're better at it.
Yeah, they ran the ball effectively against Ohio State. And you're right, that offensive line, Ohio State, number 1 defense in the country, and they pushed Ohio State back. Of course, the Buckeyes had their moments, Mike, but I thought all in all, in a physical game, Indiana won the trenches.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not that if you're Ohio State, it might feel weird that you lost to Indiana, but you're going into the playoff in a perfectly fine position.
Sure.
You lost 1 game all year on a neutral site by 3 points to the number 1 team in the country. After 3 minutes left in the game, your kicker missed a field goal he normally makes.
Chip shot, yeah.
It's not like you have to feel the world is falling. They've been here before, losing their last game before the playoff last year, and they ended up winning the whole thing. So I still think they're in a great position as well.
Yeah, now you have obviously IU, Ohio State, Oregon. If things work out, you could have an Oregon-Indiana rematch on that side of the bracket. If Ohio State advances, looks like they could take on Georgia. I guess it's hard to say who has the better draw because everybody, I mean, I think Oregon is going to steamroll into the second round against James Madison, but it's hard to say from there who has the best draw, right?
So it's funny you say that because I always feel like that's one of the things we do. We look at a bracket of who's got it most favorable. Again, I was talking with Jared Donardo today. He said, you know who has the best draw? Oregon. I said, why? They have to play a game. He was like, absolutely. They get to play a game. There's not going to be a 30-day layoff for them, which sometimes can be hard for college kids. They're going to have to play in, another week, 10 days or so. That's a fairly normal routine for them, but it's against James Madison. And no disrespect to James Madison, but Oregon should beat them pretty soundly. So it's not going to be that hard of a test, but you still have to be up and ready. And then they've got another 10, 12 days until they're playing, I believe it would be Texas Tech for them, which is a really good Texas Tech team. But they're going to have momentum on their side. There are going to be no cobwebs on there. And I never thought of it that way, but he might be right. Plus, they're motivated. With the way last year went, they were the number 1 seed and ended up losing because they had to play Ohio State back when the seeding was kind of messed up.
Right.
They're motivated to do much better this year as well in the playoff.
Yeah, they got the bad draw last year, that's for sure. They had time off, and then all of a sudden here comes the juggernaut at the Rose Bowl, and they got off to that terrible start and just never could catch up. You know, it is interesting you say that because Indiana now has the bye, which I think if you play in the championship game, you probably need just a week to get some guys healthy and overcome what was a completely physical game. But then Indiana is going to play the Alabama-Oklahoma winner. No bargain there.
No, I agree. And that's the thing. Alabama and Oklahoma both have a lot of talent, obviously. They've met earlier this year. Both sides will be, again, there'll be no cobwebs for them. They'll have to be playing as well. And I think there's definitely a chip in general on the SEC of they're tired of the fact that they haven't won a national title in a little while. They haven't been in a national title game in a little while. So you think one of those teams is likely to make a deep run.
Oh, Mike, hey, the folks in the SEC, after Michigan and Ohio State go back-to-back, they don't want Indiana, Oregon, or Ohio State to go make it 3 in a row. Believe me, I can assure you that. All right, quick question about basketball before we let you go. I think I hear a baby yelling in the background. Michigan. My goodness, Mike, with all due respect to Arizona, who I think is great, but I watched Michigan totally dismantle Gonzaga. And then I'm looking at this roster as they beat Villanova the other night. I mean, of course, they have a UAB transfer, the big Spanish kid from UCLA, North Carolina, Illinois, FAU. I mean, Dusty May, how did he get this conglomeration of kids to all not only come, but then the chemistry it's meshed so quickly?
It's wild. I mean, it's hard to think there's a team that's more dominant in men's college basketball right now than the Wolverines. But Dusty's really embraced this new world of bringing in transfer portal players and NIL and all that because last year he had to basically do that kind of starting from scratch, bringing in a whole bunch of new guys. He had to do it again this year. And by all accounts, they're a lot better. This is, I think it's 6 straight games they've won by 25 points.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that includes 2 ranked opponents. Like, it's early in the college basketball season, but they are a problem for everybody that they're going to face this year.
I've never seen anything like it. A friend of mine, Murray Bartow, I think you know Murray, he's a scout now for the Hornets, and he was at that Michigan-Villanova game, and he's just like, wow. And he's a former head coach, and he cautions me, Doug, it's early, injuries, etc. But he said right now, there's no better team in the country than Michigan. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, Mike. Right. Yeah. I know. It's unbelievable. With all due respect to Arizona, who's very good too. But all right, Mikey, well, I don't want to keep you because I know you got BTN duties, Big Ten Network, and also family duties. I mean, you got a lot going on, man.
I got a 4-year-old who's running around screaming. He's like, oh, Dad's trying to record something. Why don't I get some attention?
Well, of course. Mike, we appreciate it, man. Number one, it's great to see you. Have a great Christmas with the fam, and I'll be watching you as we flip the calendar. We'll see what happens in the playoffs.
No, you're the goods, Doug. Great reconnecting, man.
Thanks, buddy.